You're listening to the feel-good flavor of Afternoon Delight radio show here on your community voice, WRVS 89.9. Your big bro on radio, Clay Mercer, here with you. It is the fourth Wednesday of the month, and you know that means Conversations with the Chancellor. And right now, over the phone, I'm joined by the Chancellor of Elizabeth City State University, Dr. Carrie Dixon. Dr. Dixon, welcome to your show.
Thank you, Clay. I'm happy to join you this week. How are you?
Doing very, very well, trying to make it through and trying to stay as normal as possible as we continue to deal with this pandemic. You and the family doing pretty well. I know before we got here on this conversation, you was talking about the first dog. I'm sure a lot of our listeners don't know about that. Tell us a little bit about this new family member that you have.
Well, we have been so busy welcoming our new family member. His name is Dax. And he is our little baby of the family right now, our baby Viking. He is a German Shepherd, and he is 13 weeks old this week, and he is so excited about being a part of the Viking family now and can't wait to meet everyone. And I told him he'll just have to keep waiting because we are still social distancing, and so, but it's exciting. It's exciting. The kids are happy with him, and my husband and I, we are losing sleep and, trying to keep him from chewing on things. But all in all, it's fun. As long as they're happy, it's fun. And so it's good to have an addition to the family. But it's a lot of responsibility, I tell you.
It really is. Congratulations on the new family member. And I look forward to meeting him as soon as we kind of move through this pandemic and get a little bit safer. That should be a lot of fun. Listen, I want to jump right into the show. I know we have a lot of information to get into. So let's bounce back to last month. I know we talked about the Viking Compass, which is a comprehensive plan to reopen the campus, the students and staff. And I'm sure the excitement is there for the students to return, but there has to be a little bit of nervousness to go along with that. How confident are you that the Viking Compass will be successful for everyone involved?
Well, I'm excited with the fact that we've been so proactive, and Viking Compass is just a website to make sure that we are keeping our campus community informed of what's happening with the pandemic. And the reality is things change daily, weekly, in regards to the number of people who are contracting the COVID-19 and efforts that are being put in place to minimize it. And so our team at ECSU has been working all summer to prepare for reopening this fall. And so we've put a lot of things in place. We've been excited about the fact that we are welcoming our campus community back, our faculty, our staff, our students. But we're also very blessed to have great faculty that have really been on the front line during this pandemic. One in particular, Dr. Kevin Copiet, our emergency management specialist, has definitely been on the front line all through this pandemic. And so to have someone dedicated like that on staff as a faculty member has really helped us a lot in our preparations, because we know parents are interested, our faculty are interested, our students are interested in what are we doing to minimize the spread of COVID when students and faculty and staff return. And so we have some safety measures that we've been putting in place. When our campus community comes back in the fall, they'll see signage all over campus. We've devoted a significant amount of resources to signage, both directional and for social distancing in buildings, both at entrances and exits, also in common areas. We have basically redesigned all of our academic classrooms so that they are social distanced with students and faculty there. And we have, reminder signs and guidelines about wearing your face mask, washing your hands, and also being mindful of social distancing requirements. And so, we want our students to really become part of this culture of expectation that they are holding themselves accountable, they're holding each other accountable, and we're all doing the right thing. And so not just our students, but all of us. And so in thinking about that, making sure that you take your temperature before you leave home for work or for class. And if you see that you're having some symptoms, let someone know immediately so that we can help you figure out exactly what's going on with your health. But it's really going to take all of us coming together and doing the right thing in that regard and changing our behavior and our decision making So our students will receive, upon re-entry, a kit, and that kit will contain face mask, a thermometer, hand sanitizer, sanitizing wipes, and some other things. Face masks will also be given to our faculty and our staff. And there'll be sanitation stations throughout the buildings and other ways in which we are trying to minimize the spread. You'll also see more visibility around our housekeeping staff who are going to be cleaning the buildings, the restrooms, any and everywhere people touch. And another thing that we did over the summer is hire additional housekeeping staff. We hired a little over 20 people in addition to the staff that we already had for housekeeping to make sure that we have great coverage across the campus in minimizing any spread of COVID-19 and making sure that things are disinfected and cleanliness is exercised everywhere that we can even, think of. So this has definitely been a concerted effort as we prepare because we want our students, faculty, and staff, and our visitors to feel safe on campus. But it's going to take all of us doing the right thing, holding each other accountable, and really walking in this culture of expectation that we're going to do the right thing and keep each other safe.
Chancellor Dixon, you talked about people wanting to be informed. And speaking of that, surrounding the information about the campus, ECSU with MACU and COA held a virtual town hall meeting to provide some important information, and it went really well and answered some questions that students and parents had about safety, academics, and more. First, tell us how the town hall came about.
Well, it was a conversation I had with President Jack Bagwell of COA and then also President John Maurice of MACU. And we wanted to do something to reintroduce our students back to the city of Elizabeth City as well as to our campuses. And so we wanted to come together and inform our campus communities of what's going to happen with the re-entry at the campuses. And also we wanted to hear from our mayor, Betty Parker, and our police chief, Eddie Buffalo, to join us in this conversation to talk about what students and faculty and staff can expect out of the city of Elizabeth City during this time of re-entry in the fall. And so we're excited, about all of our students coming back as part of the community. And we had a wonderful turnout for the virtual town hall. We had a significant number of faculty, staff, students, parents, and even some guests join and listen in on the conversation. And our panelists really did a good job of talking about how important it was to welcome students back from the three institutions and, us all coming together and holding each other accountable to minimize the spread within the city of Elizabeth City, as well as our campuses, was really at the forefront of those conversations during the virtual town hall.
That's right. If you missed the town hall or you want to get some more information about it, of course, you can always go to the ECSU YouTube channel. You can also get more details through the newsroom online at newsroom.ecsu.edu. It's Conversations with the Chancellor. Yours truly, Clay Mercer, here with ECSU Chancellor Dr. Carrie Dixon. And Chancellor Dixon, we, meaning ECSU, take our directives from the UNC system, yet you're always in communication with other schools of higher learning. How much collaboration has there been between ECSU and some of our community college partners, especially when it comes to dealing with this pandemic?
Oh, there's been a lot of, the presidents of the community colleges, more specifically Jack over at COA, and then some of our other community colleges within our service area for ECSU. We've been in contact with each other. I've been probably in contact more with Jack over at COA because we're in such close proximity. But, we're all working together. We're sharing ideas. We're looking at strategy, looking at ways in which we are welcoming our students, things we're putting in place. And President Bagwell, Jack Bagwell of COA, as well as John Maurice of MACU, and our superintendent, Catherine Edmonds, we meet weekly and sometimes bi-weekly. It just depends on our schedules. And we have been talking with each other, making sure that each other is informed of our plans so that we're in this together. And so that has been very meaningful because we know we can't do this in isolation. And I'm just so thankful for my colleagues at MACU and COA and the superintendent because, we've really been there for each other, and we will continue to be there for each other as we're working through this pandemic together.
Yeah, it's all about the community, and when the community comes together, we're all stronger. So it's beautiful to hear that. And, Chancellor, University just recently released the 5-year strategic plan back on July 1st, which has been met with positive reactions. It's all about forging our future. And give us a quick look inside of the plan and any impact that COVID-19 possibly had on the strategic plan.
Sure. Well, we are, anytime there's a pandemic, you always have to consider, okay, what's going to change? What can we keep doing? What can we stop doing? And with our strategic plan, we see that as our roadmap for the direction in which we want to go as a university. And so on July 1st, we launched the 5-year strategic plan titled Forging Our Future. And the strategic planning process was really focused on how we best utilize our strengths to serve our students in providing access to a high quality and affordable education at Elizabeth City State University. So the pandemic just basically reinforced things that we need to look at more critically as we think about the 129-year legacy of transforming lives and strengthening our communities in northeastern North Carolina. So with our plan for 2020 to 2025, we have intentionally developed this vision, and it is a collective vision of where we see ourselves now in working with the community, our alumni, our stakeholders, how we want to foreshadow and think about ways in which we're going to get to a full sense of sustainability for ECSU in the future. So that also means, offering high quality academic programs, aligning with community demands, looking at employer needs for our students as we think about internships and jobs, also enhancing our region and our state, and how we can drive economic development to guarantee the future success and sustainability of ECSU in our region. And so this is an exciting time for us. The plan is on our website along with our priorities for this year. And I encourage everyone to check out our 6 goals and to take a look at our objectives and how we plan to focus on achieving these things in the coming year. So yes, it will be a little different to answer your question because we are in a pandemic, but we've been working closely with our chair of our Board of Trustees and our members of our Board of Trustees to chart the way in which we are able to achieve those things that we can do now, this first year, that may not require new resources, but looking at ways in which we can really put some things in place with the current level of resource that we have within our operating budget currently. And so we're trying to really focus on these things and use this first year to really look at those low-hanging fruit items that could really move us towards meeting our goals.
You're listening to Conversations with the Chancellor. Clay Mercer here with ECSU Chancellor Dr. Carrie Dixon. And Forging Our Future is the subtitle for the 5-year strategic plan, and our future includes the continuance of the NC Promise tuition plan, which will ensure that ECSU will be the most affordable choice for higher education. It sounds so good, but back on June 26th, Governor Roy Cooper signed into law legislation that guarantees the state will cover the cost of the tuition plan. Now, the plan has had a positive effect on the universities involved. To talk about the importance of this continuance and how the university continues to benefit from the NC Promise tuition plan.
Definitely. We were very excited about the passage of this bill. It was Senate Bill 814, extending the funding for NC Promise tuition program through 2025. We were excited because it was extended, but we were also excited because we now know exactly what the outlook is for when it could possibly end, because that was a question that people will always ask is, well, when is this going to end? When is it going to end? And we never really knew. We didn't have an answer. So this bill actually gives us some sense of when the program could possibly end, even though it could always be refunded. But till 2025, it gives us an opportunity to plan. And it's extremely important for ECSU because we're serving underserved populations throughout this region. As you know, NC Promise provides $500 tuition per semester for in-state students. and $2,500 per semester for out-of-state students. So really, students are coming to ECSU at $1,000 tuition rate if you're in-state, and $5,000 tuition rate for a year if you're out of state. And so you can't beat that, a quality education at an affordable price. And where we're located, that's very important because we feed into the communities that make up, that surround ECSU, that are mostly Tier 1, Tier 2 counties that we serve. And so to have this opportunity for access, affordability, and quality is something that we are very proud to be a part of. And NC Promise has been in place since 2018. We've seen significant growth at ECSU since it was in place. We've grown 37.5%, and you don't hear about growth like that in higher education. And so this is significant for ECSU, and it really speaks loudly for the vision that the North Carolina General Assembly had in place when they thought about putting NC Promise for the 3 campuses in place to provide a quality education at an affordable price. So we are looking forward to the continuation of NC Promise. We want to spread the word. You all spread the word, get it out there so that people know when they take advantage of this opportunity to come to ECSU under NC Promise. So this is exciting news, Clay.
Yeah, it really is. It's a great opportunity for the current students and anybody who's looking to continue higher education. This is the chance that you need. And so if you want more details about the NC Promise tuition plan, you can always find it online through our official website at ecsu.edu. We're coming to near the end of today's show, and it's kind of a sad end, Chancellor. Of course, the pandemic has had an effect on everything, including athletics. But on July 9th, the Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association, most know it as the CIAA, announced the cancellation of the 2020 fall sports season. Now, I know you were crying, you were sad. I know you love your football and you love your sports. Yeah, definitely. So, we won't see the Mighty Vikings on the football field, but of course it also affects other sports like cross country and tennis and a few others.
Yes.
How will the lack of athletics affect the university overall? And I guess optimistically, do you believe we'll see sports soon here?
Well, I have to tell you, Clay, I love sports, and this was a very difficult decision. And serving on the CIAA board, we talked about this for weeks before we took a vote and voted unanimously to just suspend play for fall and winter sports and move them to the spring. So many people are disappointed. We're even disappointed, but it was the right thing to do. It was the right decision as we think about the health and well-being of our student athletes, our coaches, our administrators. That's our top priority, and we have to do the right thing to keep everyone safe. And so, I'm thankful that we've been able to honor the scholarships of our student athletes, so they will continue to focus on their academics this fall and be prepared to play in the spring. Now, we still don't know what's going to happen in the spring either, but we're trying to be optimistic that we will be able to play in the spring. And the CIAA board, we're continuously meeting weekly to look at what the structure and working closely with our ADs to see what that looks like for football and the other sports that have been suspended for the fall, moving to the spring. And so this is, unprecedented times for us all. And if there's any time to test leadership, I tell you, it's right now. And being a leader during this time of the pandemic, we're having to make very tough decisions. And no one wanted to see football go. I was ready to cheer on the Mighty Vikings. We had an awesome roster of recruits coming in this year who were excited. I see them on social media, and they were so excited to play this fall. And so there's a lot of disappointment, but I think overall, at the end of the day, people understand that during a time such as this, we have to make very tough decisions, and it's not always what we want, but it's what is important. And what's important for us is the health and well-being of our campus community, our student athletes, our fans, everyone who we know would be impacted if there was an outbreak of COVID. And so, I'm okay with it now. The AD talked to the student athletes. I think everybody understands. And so I hope the football team, as I think is going to be expected, will focus this fall on their academics and still do some little bit of, conditioning and things like that. But there will be no play, no competitive play at all, no scrimmages, nothing like that this fall. And we'll just be ready to pick back up in the spring.
I think it was the best decision for safety all the way around. So I actually applaud you all and the CIAA and everyone on the board for making a tough decision. But I think, again, safety is of the utmost importance. So Conversations with the Chancellor, another great edition of the show. And if you want more information about everything we talked about here today, you can always find us online at ECSU.edu. And Chancellor, we're at the end of the show, and this is usually the time where I turn my mic off and let you give a few final remarks to the listeners.
Thank you, Clay. I just want to thank the listeners for your continued support. I know you hear me say that all the time, but it is important, is valued, and, we have to work together to get through this pandemic and keep each other safe, hold each other accountable for making good decisions and changing our behavior so that everyone stays safe. And that means wearing masks, washing hands, social distancing, all those things that make the most sense for minimizing the spread of COVID and those precautions that have been identified by the CDC. And so I just hope that everyone stays safe and welcomes our students back in the fall. And as long as we all do our part, I think we'll have a successful re-entry for the fall. And we just don't know at this time exactly how things are going to pan out. Governor Cooper is definitely keeping us abreast of the number of cases that have been confirmed and other things that we need to be concerned about. We've also I'm meeting weekly with the UNC system office, and so information changes, data is coming in, and decisions are being made. And so I just ask that everyone is patient and everyone does their part with continuing to support ECSU and our health and wellness across the entire city of Elizabeth City, as well as our campus community. So I'm excited about what's to come, and I know it's going to be a long road, but I think we'll get back to some normalcy soon. Don't know when, but whenever we have a vaccine in place, I think that's when we'll see more of that. But again, thank you all for your support of ECSU, our students, our faculty, our staff, everyone. We appreciate everything that you're doing. So I look forward to continuing these conversations, Clay. So thank you again for hosting my show. This does give me an opportunity to speak to the listeners and let them know how much we appreciate each and every one of them.
Definitely. Thank you, Chancellor. And I tell you, next month's edition of this show is going to be real interesting because we'll have a few weeks when the students are back and we'll be able to tell the listeners about how it's been and how everything is going. And so I'm really looking forward to next month's edition of the show.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to it as well, Clay. Looking forward to it as well. And I hope you didn't hear Dax barking too much in the background.
No, not at all.
He wanted to say hello to the listeners too.
Well, he has to make his presence felt on the show, so we appreciate that. And so again, listeners, if you missed this or any parts of previous shows, you can catch up on those on the WRVS 89.9 YouTube channel. Chancellor, thank you again so much for making this happen, and we'll catch you next month.
Thank you, Clay. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Hey, and make sure you stay with me. We have more Afternoon Delight radio show coming up.